Hello. Hello, everyone. Can anyone hear me? We're supposed to be live. Let me know. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Are we on? Someone give me a sign. I've got a wave. Yes, we can hear. Right, brilliant. Hello, everyone. Hello, Danny. Hello, Gemma. Hello, our allotment plots. Annie, hello. Nice to see you here. Nice of you to join us, guys. Yes, I think a few people did say they were going to come on. So I just thought I'd pop on, everyone. Have a little chat, have a Q&A. And you can ask me any questions. I think there should be a Q&A box on the chat. And if you wanted to ask me just anything to get to know me a bit better, anything about my gardening, what I like, what I dislike, things like that. So yeah, just ask away. I've got a few questions from some viewers from the channel that they've sent me. So yeah, I've got some questions there that I can answer for people as well. So yeah, feel free to throw the questions out. So we've got Danny from the Grapevine Garden. He's going to be one of our moderators this evening. And Gemma from Gemma in the Garden, she's also going to be moderating. So thank you so much, Gemma and Danny, for that. Hello everyone that's just joined. Hello. So don't forget to pop any questions into the box. Hopefully the box with the questions should work. If it doesn't work, just put a question with capitals, say question, and then hopefully you should be able to find it in the chat. So thank you for that. Yeah, Danny said I paid him to moderate. Well, only about 5 pence. He's very cheap. He's very cheap. Okay, so shall I get started? I'll get started, shall I? I've got a few questions here. Let's have a look. So here's one I've got from Louise Lambert, and this was from my comments from my channel. She's asked me, what made you go no dig? So originally, I was going to be a traditional allotmenteer. I was going to dig normally and, the traditional method. And I got my allotment plot 2 years ago, and it was this high in weeds. It was just absolutely abandoned. It needed a lot of work. So it needed a lot of clearing. So I had to dig. There was no choice. I had to dig the whole plot right the way over. And so that's what I had to do initially. And then as I was going through, obviously, when you first get an allotment, you just watch a lot of channels, you read a lot of things about no dig and things like that. So I thought, I'll just go down the dig route. But I quickly realized the benefits of no dig. And when I say no dig, I practice minimum dig. I mean, I don't think you can get away with no dig whatsoever. So I practice minimum dig. So I'll try to disturb the soil as least as possible. And then I top dress each year with compost. I put cardboard down if I need to suppress any perennial weeds and things like that. So the reason why I went to no dig, to answer the question, was it's less work, less work and less backbreaking, and B, I had a lot of problems with perennial weeds, bindweed, and I found that just getting that little bit off the ground and suppressing it with cardboard really works for me, and then mulching over and then just keep it on top of it that way. So that is why I went no dig. So thank you, Louise, for that. Right, got any? Hello, Jane. Thanks for joining. Have we got another question here? Yes. So this question is from AD's Veg Garden. How is the application for the neighbouring plot going? Some of you may know this already. I think I said it on Danny's live the other day. The council are very strict on my allotment site, and they only allow one plot now. They got strict with it. So they said no, basically, to the neighbouring plot, which I wanted. And and they are filling. They've got people on the first waiting list, which is absolutely fine by me. You know, everyone deserves to have a chance to get a plot, and I think that. But there's just so many abandoned plots that, you know, it just becomes frustrating sometimes and very unkempt. So anyway, so the neighbouring plot is a no-go. However, I'm on a waiting list for a second plot. So there is a second waiting list. So I'm on that waiting list. So we shall see, but I won't hold my breath. So yes, I do wish I had a bit more space, but do you know what? It is what it is. I've just got to get on with it, haven't I, really? So thank you very much, AD, for that question. Let's see what else. Annie, I just know, Dig, preserve your back. Yeah, absolutely preserves your back, because my back's a little bit fragile as well, Annie. I totally agree with you. And it has got a lot of benefits, doesn't it? Yeah, I think so. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Mags. Hi from Scotland. How is it up there? I bet it's even colder than here. It's cold here today. And I've just been watching the weather, and the cold and the snow is on the way next week, apparently. So it's not good. Well, it's for Danny. Danny likes snow. He's one of those weird people who likes snow. Okay, shall I get on with another question? This question is from Juliet Perkins Davis. This is also from my YouTube channel. She popped it into the comments. She's asked me, what do you prefer, pottering in your garden or at the allotment? Both. I can't choose between. I think the thing is, when I'm pottering around my garden, my home garden, you might have seen it on some of my videos, it's virtually done. Well, it is done, but you know, as a gardener, we always change this, don't we? We always change things around, and I'm a bit like that. I always want to change and create something different. But I tend to like to potter around the garden at home here with a cup of tea, or have a little drink in the garden in the summer and things like that. I tend to sort of do that bit more relaxation space. And I tend to find that when I'm going up to the allotment, there's a lot more to do at the allotment, as in jobs wise. So you can potter there, or you can get stuck into some jobs. You can have a little break, have a cup of tea, things like that. So I couldn't choose between the two, to be honest, Juliet. I like pottering in the allotment and in the garden. See what else has come on. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. I do try my best with my garden. Hello from South Yorkshire. South Yorkshire's on. Hello from South. Yeah, it's cold here too. It is really cold. Hi in Worcester. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Amir. Hi. There's a few more people coming in. Yeah, cold Wirral. Yeah, it is a cold one, isn't it? It's getting there now. It is getting there. Right, shall we have a look? I've got another question actually from Juliet. Let me just answer that question as well. She's asked also, what would you recommend for top jobs in the garden for December? So, well, what do you guys think? Pop them into the comments there. What would you be your top jobs? What were your top jobs for December? I think my top jobs, I'd definitely be, if you haven't done it already, mulch all your beds over and get them top dressed or whatever you want to do. If you've not put green manure in them, what I tend to do is cover with cardboard, you know, top dress them, and then you can obviously just check them again in spring. That's what I do. So definitely mulch your beds. That's one. And then look at like the infrastructure of your plots. If you've got pathways and things like that, get all your pathways sorted. Make sure all your repairs are done. This is the time to be thinking about things like that, isn't it? I would probably turn my compost. I hate doing that job, but that's a job you could be doing. Turn that compost over. We've got less sort of maintaining the plants in the wintertime, haven't we? So we've got more of jobs, structural jobs, maintenance jobs, haven't we, really? So what else would I do in the winter? Jobs for the garden for December. I tell you what else I would do. It's not really jobs in the garden, but what I always do in December is go through all my seeds. Go through all my seed collection, pull out what I think I'm like, write them down and plan what I think I'm going to be sowing next year, and note any shortfalls so I can order them in time. Because before you know it, it's going to be January, February. We wanted to sow your peppers and things like that. So, yeah, seeds as well, seed collection. Okay, let's see if anyone's put any questions in here. Let's check this box at the top. It doesn't seem to be working, this box. So I'm just going to say to you guys, just put a comment there, the questions down there. All right, let's have a look. December's a good time to make sure you're ready for the next season with seeds. Yeah, you read my mind, Gemma. You read my mind. Question from Anita. Is there something you'll try to grow for the first time next year? And is there anything you won't be growing next year? Do you know what? For the first time next year, I actually, believe it or not, I've never grown chard. I've bought the seeds this year because I've had in my mind for a while that I haven't thought, I always like to try something new each year. So chard is what I'm going to try next year. And I've got a nice variety of Swiss chard. So we'll see how that goes, whether I like it or not. But it's always nice to grow something different, isn't it? What won't I be growing next year? Don't know if I'll stop growing it completely, but my climbing beans weren't very successful. I've got, as you know, if you watch my channel, I've got 2 double archways down the centre path. And I used to use those for climbing beans, but they've not really been very successful for 2 years now. And I get tons and tons of French green beans from my bush beans, you know, the dwarf French variety. And I get tons, more than I need. And I don't like runner beans, so I don't grow them anymore. So I don't even grow French beans at the arch. So that's probably what I won't be growing, climbing French beans. Or obviously I won't grow runner beans anyway, but climbing French beans I probably won't do next year because I'll get enough from my dwarf French beans, if that makes sense. Let's have a look. Hope that's answered your question. Let me just go back, see if I've not missed anything. Jane's asked a question. Thanks for repeating that, Danny. Do you garden over winter? I definitely do, Jane, because I can't stay in the house. And there's always something to do, isn't there? Let's face it, there's always something to do in the winter. You think there's not, but there is. There's always maintenance jobs and things like that. So I've got all those to do, but also I've got all my brassicas growing over the winter. I've got outside, and then obviously got the inside ones in the polytunnel now as well. So, you know, you're still getting crops through that time, aren't you? So yes, Jane, I do garden through the winter. Do you? Does anyone else? There we go. Let's have a look. Trying to get the questions. Sorry, it's going quite fast. Where are we? Okay, there we go. Jane's eating biscuits and drinking wine. Lovely. Right, pear plot. Ali, Trisha, nice to see you on here. What would be your fave Christmas gifts for the garden? Allotment. Anything that anyone's going to buy me, really. But do you know what? I know what I'd love as an absolutely extravagant gift for Christmas for the garden. Guess a shed. That's a bit too much, isn't it? But I tell you what, a shed, or if I have to come down a notch, it'd be a brassica cage. There you go. Not that anyone's going to buy me that, but I have to buy that myself. I have to buy my own presents. Nobody loves me enough. Question. That's done. Sorry, guys. I'm just going through the questions here now. Yeah, put a question in the section. It doesn't come up. I don't know where it's gone. Sorry, guys. I don't know why that's not working. Oh, plot to plate. You've given me. Oh, that's so kind of you. That's so kind. Oh, that's really nice. Do you know what? I'm going to go and buy some compost with that tomorrow. Thanks so much. £9.99. Love it. Thank you so much. A shed, yes, a shed, Jane. I need a shed. You know I need a shed. Right, let me see if I've got any questions. They're going quite quick. There we go. Right, okay. Peppermint charge, yeah, right, okay. Whoa, this Garden of Emma question. Hello, Emma. Nice to see you on here. So thanks, Danny, for repeating that. What flowers would you recommend for clay soils? Well, clay soils generally, you know, I always say, look, if you don't know, just get on the old Google Master and that's it. You know what I mean? But from my experience, I'm from the Northwest, and originally I've lived down south for 13 years now. I'm on chalk soil here, I'm in Hampshire in the UK, and I'm on chalk here, so it's quite alkaline. So I struggle with any acid ericaceous plants, you know. So, but when I'm from the Northwest, and that's from Warrington originally, and that has a real heavy clay, and the acid loving plants absolutely loved it. So the likes of you know, you've got your my mind's gone blank. My mind's gone blank. Come on, guys. Give me some acid loving plants. Can't even think. Rhododendrons, azaleas, camellias, things like that. They're good for clay soils because it'll be quite. You always have to do a pH test on your soil anyway. But generally, I know rhododendrons. When I lived up north, rhododendrons, azaleas, they absolutely loved that soil up there, and that was a thick, heavy clay soil. So I can't grow ericaceous plants in the ground here where I am in Hampshire because it's too alkaline. So I've actually got a camellia in the my back garden. It's in a pot, so with ericaceous compost, and that's the only way it will survive. So there you go. Hope that answers your question, Emma. Where are we going? Rach, our allotment plots. Where did the name Flying Gardener come from? Okay. So I don't know if some of you might or might know, but my job, my occupation, if I'm just going to run it down, I'm going to say trolley dolly. I'm an in-flight manager for a very well-known international airline. And so, yeah, I fly all around the world. So that's really sort of where it came from. And sort of the idea for the channel was to I try and show this more on my Instagram through photos and stuff like that. So I try and show gardens and plants and different things like that from around the world or any destinations that I tend to be in. I should do more for the channel, really. I'm trying in the future to film a lot more when I'm going away on trips and more horticultural content from abroad. So that is where the name Flying Gardener comes from. Let's have a look. Questions. Just going through here. Yeah, camellias, heathers. Yeah, heathers as well are really good for acid sores. Danny, thank you for that. Hi, AD. You've missed your question. I've answered it already. You'll have to watch it back. But thank you very much for asking me that question on the comments on my channel. Nice to see you on here, AD. There we go. Oh, you thought it was a private plane guy, like a flying Uber. I'm not that posh, Rach. I'm not that posh. No. Commercial airline. No, not private. I haven't got that much money. Okay, so I can't see any more questions. But Danny and Gemma, if you do see any questions that I've missed, can you highlight them for me? Because this blooming question box, I think I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't think it is working. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, let me get rid of that. So the question box is not working. So just pop your questions down there. Okay, Ada's got another question. Let's have a look. How do you water when you're away? That's a very, very good question. So, can be a struggle. I don't know if you watched one of my videos a few months ago. Virtually all my herbs died because we had that really bad dry spell. So generally, I've got really nice plot neighbours on my allotment site, and they'll come and we help each other out. And if I say to someone, "Oh, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to Los Angeles tomorrow. I'm not going to be back for 4 days," they will say, "Oh, I'll just pop in and I'll check on it." I just say, just keep an eye. If it gets dry, just keep an eye on it. It's usually like the hanging baskets on the shed and things like that. So this year I bought my irrigation system for the polytunnel, and it is the solar powered one. So that's hooked up to a rain barrel, and that works just the amount more sun hours that it gets, the more that it waters the polytunnel. It's like a drip system in the polytunnel. So that has worked brilliantly this year. So that's obviously the main thing. You don't want your tomatoes and your peppers to dry out in there when it's really hot weather. So yeah, so that's the main thing. And then sort of the rest of the plot has to fend for itself a little bit. But yeah, my plot neighbours are really good. So that's how I cope with the watering, AD. Let's have a look. Cheryl, I do sweet peas this year, and what variety? I am going to do some sweet peas, Cheryl, and I can't tell you the variety because basically I planted 2 varieties that I bought packet seeds last year. I planted and mixed them on the TP, and they sort of intertwined. There's like an heirloom one, which is like a different leaf, like a little feathered type leaf. And then there was, I think it was a royal mix. I'm not too sure. But anyway, so I collected the seeds from those this year. And so there'll be a mix. It'll be a surprise. But I think I've got some in my seed collection as well. So I can't tell you the variety, but I will be growing them, Cheryl. The only thing flying in my garden are the slugs as they disappear into the sunset, Annie. I know. I feel your pain with the slug situation. Trust me. And the mouse situation. Let's have a look. Oh no, the herbs died. It was sad, wasn't it, Rach? But I did replace, well, not all of them died. I rescued some of them, and most came back to life. And then I've done a completely new bed at the side of the polytunnel. I redid that bed in one of my videos. So yeah, most was rescued. The lemon balm, it was a goner. I'll have to get some next year. So, Rachel, the question: what made you get into gardening? That's a big question, isn't it? So, I was gardening from basically a toddler, really. I say a toddler. You don't garden when you're a toddler, but I was following my dad around the garden when I was a toddler. So he would, as soon as you're old enough to understand, so I probably would have been 4 or 5. I'd be following my dad around the garden, had my own little section in the garden, and that was my little bit of the garden. I was obsessed with it, and my dad taught me absolutely everything about gardens. He was so knowledgeable about gardens. He absolutely loved his garden. So I sort of got it from there. And I think my sister got that as well. And I think it's either in there or it's not. You've got a passion for it. But yeah, so that's what started me gardening, really. Just the interest sparked by just going around with my dad when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and then it just carried on from there. And I got my own house. When I got my own house, I got my own garden and redid my garden, and just went from there, really. So yeah, and then I just did that for years and years and years, all different gardens, and then it's only started growing vegetables 2 years ago when I got my allotment. That was the first time I grew vegetables, and I'm just loving that side of it as well. So yes, that's what got me to gardening. Let's have a look. Any more questions? Just reading the chat. Yeah, irrigation system's good, Emma, in that greenhouse, isn't it? It's actually a godsend. I remember I've got, mice in my shed. I've got mice issues. Last year I left a packet of sweet pea seeds out. There weren't any left. There weren't any left the next day. Trust me. They had a good old munch on those sweet pea seeds, I tell you. Question, Garden of MSO. What vegetable is your favourite to grow and why? I think I like to grow my kales because I don't know. I think I've got a bit of a green thumb with the old brassicas. They tend to do quite well. So, and the kales always seem like a really great plant because you can just keep harvesting from them and harvesting. And, as you do a couple of them, and one goes a bit manky, you're all right, you've got a couple more. And I like to do different varieties. So I did a different variety of kale this year, which I saw Sarah from She Sows, She Grows. She was doing a scarlet kale. So I thought, I'm going to try that. So that's something new I tried this year. And yeah, I think that's my favourite to grow because you can just keep harvesting from it and then it goes right through the winter as well. Cabbages do like to grow, but they all just come at the same time and I can't eat them. I give them all away or the slugs have a feast on them. But I'd say kale is my favourite veg to grow. Hi, Laura from Tiny Garden. Nice to see you on here. Let's go on. There's all questions are coming thick and fast now. Veg plot thickens. Hi, Claire. Nice to see you. When will you start sowing in 2024? I've seen some people say it's January the 1st for peppers. Well, I personally don't sow that early. If I was going to sow onions from seed, I would start them in the traditional time. It's always Boxing Day, but I'd start them definitely at the beginning of January. I'm not doing onions from seed this year. I've got literally 2.5 beds full of onion sets, and that's going to be more than enough. I won't have any space to put any more onions. So I would generally start sowing, I'd probably start with the tomatoes and the peppers. I'd start sowing probably the peppers at the end of February, and I'd start sowing the tomatoes at the end of March. So basically, the tomato is going to take a lot more room up, and in the house where I'm going to obviously be keeping them nice and warm and away from the frost. So there, yeah, I can't really start them any sooner than that. And also the light levels are really low earlier than that. And, I think it's all just a bit of a struggle. I sowed them exactly the same time earlier this year when we did the tomatoes. And do you know what? It doesn't make a difference. They always catch up. Even if you sow them earlier, those tomatoes that you sow a bit later in April or whatever, they will always catch up. And mine definitely did catch up. So yeah, I won't be sowing anything until end of February for my peppers and end of March for tomatoes. And then I'll carry on with everything else from then onwards, probably April time. Hi, Liz. Nice to see you on. Red Russian Kale is great to grow salad leaves. Yeah, they grow in the coldest months too. Yeah, I've not tried that one actually. I know Sarah grows the Red Russian Kale as well. So that might be a new one I need to give a go actually, because I like to try something new each year. Thanks for that, Liz. Let's have a look. See what else questions I've got up here. So Laura from the Tiny Garden. What was my most successful veggie crop this year? It has to be my dwarf French beans. You just know they never seem to fail. So that's 2 years running. They've been absolutely fantastic croppers. And I think I grew, what did I grow this year? Ferrari. And the previous year was Safari. And they have cropped absolutely brilliantly. They're just the dwarf French green beans. And I've got tons in the freezer, and I've given tons away to my neighbours as well. So that was definitely my most successful harvest this year. Thank you, Laura. What veg wouldn't you eat as a child but will eat now you grow your own? It's so weird because when I was a child, that was from Ali or Trisha, Ripe Hair Plot, one of you. Um, so I would never, as a kid, I would never eat any greens at all. At all. Peas, cabbage, sprouts. Sprouts would just be my worst hell. I think it's a lot that was with kids anyway. But as you grow up, your sort of palate changes anyway, isn't it? But now I absolutely love cabbage um, and sprouts. You wouldn't believe it. I know some people don't. It's an acquired taste, but I really love sprouts. So yes, I definitely like those now. And then I would never grow. I say I don't. I'm not a salad person, so I don't know if you've noticed from my channel. I don't grow any salad crops really. So the only salad thing you would say for me is tomatoes, but I don't grow salad tomatoes. I just grow them for cooking. So that's the only thing. I would never grow. I would never slice a tomato, put it on a salad or a sandwich. That would be my idea of hell. And cucumber, I've never liked. I will never like. I will never grow. So no, the cucumber is always a no-no for me. Absolutely pointless. Right, let's have a look. Rach, wish we'd done it sooner. Going to our second year now won't change a thing. Yeah, isn't it great? It's such a fantastic thing. I'm sure everyone agrees that if you have got an allotment or if you just garden in your home garden, you grow some veggies. I mean, it's just such a rewarding thing. But I just think allotment plots are just so great for the community spirit and your plot neighbours and stuff like that. I think it's just brilliant. Cheryl, how many composters do you have? Do you add any accelerator? I've got 2 bays, and generally, I only have enough garden or allotment waste. I bring all my garden waste from my home garden here to the compost bays at the allotment, and all my veg scraps and things like that from cooking. That all goes to the allotment. So I generally only have enough for 1 bay, and by the time it sort of gets full, it starts to sort of drop the levels down. I have got 2, so I've got the option of actually starting another one, which I might do, but I've just used that for storage at the moment. I don't add any accelerator to it, and do you know what? My own admission, I need to get better at composting. I'm not great at it. I just let the old slow compost method, so it's just literally pile it up, and then sometimes I will turn it if I remember or if I don't put it off too much. But yeah, so I've got 2. I use 1, but it's quite a big compost bay, Cheryl. But I don't use any accelerator. I just mix like the greens and browns as you normally would do, and just any bits of cardboard, and I try and just do my best with it really. But it's a slow composting method. It's not like a quick one. Let's have a look. Just looking for some more questions. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Carrots for me. Amia, question. Have you taken inspiration from gardens you visited on your travels? Any particular places or gardening styles that have inspired you? I sort of pull things from all over. I just see, so especially from my home garden, I suppose the closest thing I would say is I've started a little bit of prairie type planting, and that's mainly in the front, but I've started a little bit in the back garden as well. Because my home garden is more of like a cottage garden style, but in the front, you may have seen I've got beds with rudbeckia and like large daisies and grasses, and there's some sedum in there and stuff like that. So that's that sort of prairie planting that I really like, with the rudbeckia and the grasses, and I want to do more of that. Now, I did originally see that I did see it in Los Angeles in gardens in California, around California, because obviously, um, but obviously those type of gardens are everywhere, and I do go and get inspiration quite a lot from places in Europe when I'm doing trips into Europe. Um, and I've seen beautiful gardens in the most beautiful gardens I think I've seen for a long time are in Copenhagen, and they've got absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous gardens the way they were planted up. And I took a lot of inspiration from that. I thought you look around, and it was like literally going to a flower show and looking around. So you just take loads of pictures and think, oh, that's a brilliant idea, and you just get inspiration from that. So yeah, I suppose I draw some inspiration from visiting different places, Amir. But it's just anything that I sort of like and I see, I just think, oh, that's an idea. So I think we all like that, a bit like that as gardeners, aren't we? Let's have a look. Let's count up again. A red Russian to grow next year. Okay, yeah. So looks like people will be going that red Russian kale. AD, yeah, you'd say that onions have been. Actually, yeah, you're right. I forgot about the onions. Yeah, I suppose the size of those onions, I was really pleased. They were the overwintered ones from the previous year. So yeah, they were a fantastic. Thanks for reminding me. I did have a fantastic harvest of those, but I think the beans, I always just think I've got tons and tons and tons, the quantity of beans. But yes, the onions were a definite big win for this year. Thank you, AD, for reminding me about that. Where are we? Let's have a look. 12 French beans. Yeah, give those varieties a try. Yeah. Laura, that Safari and Ferrari, both brilliant croppers, really healthy plants. I would definitely recommend them. I've got some saved seeds. If you want me to send you some, just let me know. Cucumber, no, Emma, I don't like cucumber. I physically can't. It makes me heave. Sorry, can't do it. Ali did a cabbage challenge once. Ate 2.5 huge cabbages. That's a lot of cabbage. Let's see if there's any more questions. Let's have a look. So Cheryl, not brilliant at composting. You want to get better this year. Accelerator tablets. I've never heard of those. Or maybe I know you can get stuff to sprinkle on sometimes, can't you? Accelerator. A bit hit and miss, throwing greens around. I think that's just what I do. Question from Jane: do you pull your beans up or chop and leave the roots in? Actually, Jane, I always my peas, beans, any legumes, I always chop off at the base and leave the roots in, and then I mulch over the top. Because as you know, you've got to leave those roots, and they've got all those nitrogen nodules on those, and that's going to feed your soil, isn't it? So yeah, I always chop them. Hi Steve, Digwell, Green Fingers is on. You've been filming Lego, have you, Steve? Have you, Steve? How did that go? Nice to see you on. Ali, what did your plot neighbours share with you this year? I usually share with them, Ali, to be honest. I think I grew the most. People offer me the usual tomatoes and cucumbers, and I think I've got offered melons and squashes, but I didn't need anything. But yeah, so it's the usual things. They want to give you tomatoes. It's usually cucumbers. Oh, I'll tell you what else. Courgettes. I've never grown courgettes, and I would never say I would never grow them, but I'm not a fan of courgettes, and they take up a lot of space. So, you know, I never say never, but yeah, but my plot neighbours always try and give me courgettes, and I'm sure everyone else's plot neighbours are exactly the same. Question from AD. If you only use one compost bin, split that into two and allow extra space to store stuff. I could do, but this compost bay is actually completely full. But I say it does rot down, so I can keep adding to it. So I think over the winter time, we're not going to get as much going into that compost bay now anyway. So it'll gradually go down, down and down, further down. So I think I'll be fine. And I've got my other one next to it. You might have seen it on one of the vlogs. I generally use that as a bit of storage, to be honest, to keep everything tidy and out of the way. So what else we've got? Urine as well, Jane. You're right. Without sounding crude, urine is very good to put on your compost, as we know. And all I'm going to say is this. We used to have a Portaloo type toilet on our allotment site. The council took it away. And I don't go all the way home for a wee when I'm at the plot all day. So there you go. Draw your own conclusions from that one. Let's have a look. It's going so quick, the chat. All right, let's have a look. Hi, Nanu. Nice to see you on. Hi, Nanu and Gridge. I've always wondered how far your allotment site is. If you could get a larger plot than the one you have, would you consider moving site and starting again? That's a very good question, Nanu. And it takes me from here, from my house, it takes me about 5 minutes in the car. It's literally just up the road. So it's fine. There is about 8 sites within this town, allotment sites. There is bigger sites than the one I'm on. Would I consider moving to a bigger plot? Possibly. But I think you sort of get used to. I like my site. I like the people on there. My site at the moment only has 40 plots on the actual site, so it's quite nice. You get to know people a lot more and things like that. Funnily enough, we've got a warden on our site, and he said to me the other day, because I was looking at there's some empty plots still on there that they're trying to get through the waiting list and get people on there. There's new people come on now this winter onto the vacant plots, and he was saying, why don't you take another plot on? And I was thinking, that is a lot of. I would take it on as a second plot. I said, but I don't really want to move all what I've got on my existing plot, all the work I've put in to move it to a different plot. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to stick with what I've got for now. But I wouldn't rule out, maybe they said, oh, we've got a huge plot on a different allotment site. I'd go and have a look. I wouldn't rule it out. Thanks for the question, Nanu. Let's see any more. Gemma, you love courgettes. I know you love courgettes. Not for me, but maybe if I just chopped them up and put in a chili or something like that, I wouldn't taste them. Maybe that's what I need to do. Another question: veg plot thickens. Have you ever had any vandalism or theft from your plot? I was worried about security on community site. Patty pans on the list for next year. The white ones. I've never grown patty pans actually. So secure vandalism or theft? No, we've not really. A couple of people I've never had anything. A couple of people have had pumpkins or squashes. They said have been stolen, or cucumbers once. So it's maybe naughty plot neighbours who are helping themselves, but that's not normal behaviour. No one's ever broken in or vandalised anything while I've been on that site for 2 years. I know they have, before I got my allotment there, I know they did say they had a few sheds broken into. I think sometimes that happens, doesn't it? But there's never been any vandalism or break-ins for the 2 years that I've been on mine. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood. We don't want any of that. Nettles, I'm just trying to look through. Nettles, I've heard, can be an accelerant. This talk about the compost. Not sure if this is true. I believe so. I believe so. When I make my nettle tea, I throw all the old dregs onto the compost heap as well. So that's always going to help. I'm not too sure about that though, if it's an accelerant or not. Oh, someone sent me $10 from oh, thank you so much. That's really kind. Thank you so much. Good evening to you. Good morning at your end, don't it, in New Zealand? Thank you so much. That I'm going to get some more compost now. I'm excited. Thank you very much. Let's have a look. Any more questions? Any more questions? Let's have a look. It's going really quick. Okay. Try Soleil, a yellow courgette. This is from Steve Digwell. Soleil, a yellow courgette, very compact and tastes better than the green ones. Okay then, that might be a good one. I'm going to make a note of that. I might try that next year. Okay, fair enough. I'm up for trying anything. I need to try some new things for next year. Question from Anita: How have you been? Have you been or entered anything into a horticultural show? We went to our local one for the first time this year and was great to see what others had entered. Next year we'll give it a go. Yeah, it is nice to see all that. I've never entered anything like that. Like an exhibit, what do you call it, like a flower or an onion or whatever into these shows. I've seen them and I think I'm just amazed. I don't think I could grow anything as good as that, but I've never done that. No, the only thing we have a competition each year for the best kept plot. You know, the council just run it. I think they just try and keep everyone G'd up a bit. That's any sort of thing that I've been in. Let's have a look. Just going through the urines are great for straw bales ready for planting. Thank you, Steve. Exactly. There's not many gardeners that have never done a Wildy. I've never heard it called that before. Okay. It keeps jumping. There we go. Hi, Feel Good Garden. Hello. Let's have a look. Emma's, but we don't get a lot of theft on the plot of hers. That's good. Oh, so you had something stolen. Okay. Ali, right pear plot. Do you have a first aid kit in your shed? No. I tell you what I do have. I should have, actually. I've got two here. Why don't I just take one to the plot? I will do that now. But I have got plasters because I inevitably end up cutting myself, and I've got antiseptic gel and stuff like that. So I'll just probably use that, wash my hands and use that and put a plaster on until I get home. But maybe I should bring that spare first aid kit to the plot, definitely. Yes, Locke's just starting his day in New Zealand. How's it going in New Zealand, Locke? How is the weather? Are you enjoying the start? Or are you enjoying your spring? And it'll be coming into your summer soon, won't it? Very jealous about that. Let's have a look. Favorite right pear plot. Ali, favorite tool. Apart from, do you know what? My favorite. I always use my trowel for everything, but my favorite is I've got an oscillating hoe, and if you know what one of those are, and that is my favorite. Not that I use it very often, because when you're no digging, you've got raised beds. You don't generally use it, but I've used it a little bit. You know, once you pull like a crop out or something like that, and you just need to lightly go over, and there might be a few little tiny little weeds in there. Just lightly go over it. I use it for that. That's my favourite. It's very satisfying. Oscillating hoe. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Question. Feel Good Garden. How do you deal with leather jacket caterpillars? Danny recommended nematodes. Bought some but not used them yet. Yeah, I know you can get nematodes for a lot of different pests now. I've never used nematodes for leather jackets. I don't really seem to have a problem with leather jackets, thankfully. My problem is always with slugs, pest-wise, and I use the general whitefly and stuff like that, which you can cope with. But the slugs, I've used nematodes for slugs before, and it was very effective. I've used it on the in my garden at home, not last year, the year before, and they were really effective. I've never used them at the plot, but if it is going to be another, like we had a dry spring, didn't we? A dry and hot spring, then we had a wet summer and wet autumn. So that's when they've all sort of come from. I think if we're going to have a bout of wet weather beginning of the springtime, I probably will get some nematodes and take them to the plot and use those. But leather jackets I've not had a problem with. So I remember my dad used to always say years ago when the daddy longlegs used to lay their eggs in the lawn, and so he used to throw a load of bread out on the lawn, and the starlings would come down and eat the bread, and then they'd carry on picking at the leather jackets. And starlings are the best thing to get leather jackets out of your lawn. Questions. Question. AD. Try forcing tomato. Start very and keep it in a small pot. They bush out rather than grow as a vine. Worth considering. Let's have a look. Veg plot thick. You always look so smart on camera. I have days I can't film as I nip across my plot in my PJs and think how slobby I am. Yes, but Claire, you just pop out your front door and go to your plot. That's the thing. That's the nice thing. You can do that. I don't think I'm smart when I go to the plot. I wear the worst clothes that I've got. They're the really oldest and worst clothes. Trust me. Maybe it just looks good on camera. Let's have a look. Any more questions? No, I don't want any leather jackets. Thank you. Don't want any of those. Question from Manor. Hello. Do you preserve your vegetables? And if you do, how? I don't really preserve anything as in pickle them or stuff like that. I suppose the only way I preserve is I'll sort of blanch cauliflower and broccoli and freeze that. I just straight freeze the top and tail and freeze the green beans. I blanch and freeze sweet corn. So I've done a lot of that, all that sort of stuff. And the only way I sort of preserve my tomatoes for cooking is I'll just stew them up in a big pan. Don't add any seasoning. They literally just break them down, and then I'll portion them out into them Ziploc bags and freeze them. And then I just use a couple of those if instead of like a tin of tomatoes, if I'm going to do some cooking and stuff like that, make a spag bol or a chili or something like that, or a stew or something. So that's the way I sort of preserve my veg over the winter. It's basically freezing. The only other thing I do is with the soft fruits like the raspberries and the blackberries, I make jam. So I suppose that's a way of preserving as well, isn't it? Right pair plot. Now I've now heard tomato leaves deter or plants deter slugs. They don't like the smell. Oh well, it's worth trying, isn't it? Let's have a look. There we go. Okay, so let's have a look, see if I've got any more questions on here. Feel free to pop any more in. What time is it actually? Oh, it's 5 to 8. It's been nearly an hour. Right. Gemma asked a question. How do you fit gardening around your work schedule? Yeah, it's quite difficult, obviously, when I am flying and things like that. So it just depends on my roster, Gemma. It depends what trip I've got, how long I'm going to be away. I sort of have had to plan in all of my days off, what I'm going to be doing, because I know I'm going to be away for, say, 4 days or whatever. And then I sort of have to plan that in with my filming for the YouTube channel. So I have, if I know I've got to put a video out, and generally I do a video every Wednesday, I sort of had to plan that in advance. So if I'm not going to be around on Wednesday, I'll have to make sure I filmed in advance and schedule it in and things like that. So I sort of have to use my days off quite cleverly, really. But yeah, so that's sort of how I do it, really. Let's see if there's any more questions. So, it's 5 to, yeah. So 5 to 8. So if there's any more questions, probably going to start wrapping up in a little bit. So if any final questions, please hit me with them. Okay. And Gemma and Danny, if I've missed any, can you just highlight them for me? That'd be brilliant. Nanu, do you enjoy cooking? Is it one of the reasons you like growing your own produce? I like growing my own produce because I know where it's come from. It's organic, and it's no food miles and things like that. So all the good positive stuff, and it's fresh food, and brilliant. What's not to like about that? But I absolutely hate cooking with a passion. I hate it. I only cook through necessity. And if I didn't cook, then I wouldn't eat any fresh food or anything like that. So I generally, because I live on my own, I generally batch cook a massive load of stuff and freeze about 3/4 of it. And then it gives me loads of portions and stuff. So that's less cooking in one sort of, I could do one sitting of cooking, really. So no, I hate it. No. You could always pop round and cook for me if you want. Let's have a look. Any more questions? Question from Anita. Have you entered into the horticultural show? I've answered that already, I think. Question. Have you pruned your fruit yet? Raspberries, blackberries, etc. So the blackberries are really new anyway, so I've not touched those at all, and I don't really want to touch them because they'll fruit on the previous year's growth. So, and they're quite new anyway. So I've just trained the blackberries into the arch, and I've moved all them into one place, so they're on the double arches now. And the all my raspberries have been pruned, the autumn fruiting raspberries, so that they've literally just been cut to the floor. They're so easy to prune. So they have been done. My black currants are still in leaf, and I might move one of them. So I'll just wait for them to go dormant. But again, I don't think there's going to be much pruning on them because they're young plants as well. And the very mature one was hard pruned last year. So we need to get some growth on it to get some fruit from, because it'll fruit on the previous year's growth. So raspberries have been done. But that's about it for pruning. Okay. Any more questions? No, I don't think there is. So if I've missed your question, please email me. Just you can look on my channel. Please feel free to drop me an email or pop me a comment on this live, put a comment below or anything like that, or any of my videos. Just put a comment and I'll get back to you. I always reply to everyone. So if I've missed any questions, please forgive me. I think we've got a couple of ones just coming in here. I think we've got time to Let's answer a couple more. Favourite dishes from my veggies. Well, I think the most dishes I'll probably make are favourite dishes. I think, do you know what? For winter time, it's always nice to soups. I think is my favourite to do from the veggies got. So I know I had some parsnips and carrot. So I did like a nice carrot and parsnip spicy soup and things like that. So I just look on the online and get recipes off there and things like that. And so I'd say, yeah, my favourite thing is to do. It's quite satisfying, isn't it? To make some nice soups, and you can freeze it as well, which is great for me. Question: found space for those flowers yet? What, the gladioli? Yeah, they're not up yet. They're not up yet. They're not up yet, Claire. That's my next job. That'll probably be happening tomorrow if it's not raining. And then I'm going to have a massive think about that. Where are we? I think that's it. So what time is it? It's gone 8 o'clock. So we're on an hour. So I think we'll wrap it up. I say if I've not answered your question, I apologise. Just send me an email or comment. Thank you so much for everyone to join. Thank you for moderating, Gemma and Danny. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and I think that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining.